Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission, highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Homeless Veteran Transition Program Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain, as I promise you every single week, we have an amazing show for you with some amazing guests, some stakeholders, community leaders, and most importantly, organizations doing good in our community. But as you know, this would not be the Common Good Radio Show if I did not give grace to a very loving God that makes this all possible. I usually do that with the Lord's Prayer that goes a little something like this. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. So all that being said, I couldn't have a better first guest on the show with me today. I have Davina Fitzpatrick, who wears many hats. I don't know how many hats actually that you you actually wear. Probably 38.
I have quite a few hats. I couldn't count them offhand. Not 38, but I do have quite a few.
But the hat that actually we'll set it up a little better. I know we're from Proper Villains, which Proper Villains, if you don't know who they are, I definitely highly suggest you check them out because they are a solutions business, as I've known them to be, because it's, even though they handle our social media and our website and everything that we know around media, they do so much more than that. But that's not the hat that she's going to be speaking to as much today. Today we're going to be speaking about the hat that kind of goes just as much along with that opening prayer as even Proper Villains, because definitely Proper Villains is a group of people that love themselves from God, and you can definitely tell through their work. But today we're going to be talking about Revived Grounds Landscaping, and this is super exciting for me and cool. Not only having owned a landscaping company before, being a pastor now, and not having found the symmetry in my life as a landscaper or doing a landscaping company, but also seeing a shared vision that we have, and seeing kind of where you've picked up from maybe that shared vision and what you guys are doing with it. So for those who aren't familiar with Revived Grounds Landscaping, I guess fill them in.
Okay, so Revived Grounds Landscaping is a new landscaping company here in Tucson, Arizona. We are a faith-based company. We decided we kind of had a vision of New Seed, which is where Revived Grounds came from. We want it to be more than just landscaping. We want to have the opportunity to meet people in Tucson, know their stories, pray with them. And, God just kind of put this on our heart, and it's been one of those things when God moves, like he just opens the door and you got to move with him because there's no stopping. You just got to try to keep up. So it's been this really cool opportunity that we've gotten to go out and do. We thought we were going to tiptoe in, and it ended up we stepped in and then we started running.
That's usually how it works. Yeah, we think when we follow the calling from God, we think that it's gonna slowly come upon itself. But if you're following God's call, it rushes in.
Yeah.
You just all you can do is just be a good steward to it.
Yeah.
Right. So what is the is you would think that with landscaping, you see, seems like every other truck is a landscaping truck.
Yeah.
But would you say that this is a saturated industry, or what's your take on it?
What we have learned really quickly, and talking to other landscaping companies, is there's no oversaturation in this because there is so much work to be done to make Arizona thrive. So we have actually gotten a lot of the opportunities that we've gotten from other landscaping companies, from other people that we've met in the industry, that we have sought wisdom from to learn and navigate this because it's new to us. They have helped us to get the jobs that we've gotten, and it's been really great opportunity. And they actually, from them, they've been around some of these companies have been around for a long time. They're national companies, and they say there is no such thing as oversaturation in this because there's something for everyone, and not everyone can do everything. So we kind of have found that we work together, and we kind of make it all happen. So it's really been this really cool opportunity that we didn't expect.
Yeah, and we're talking about it a little bit before we started the show, but we're talking about kind of the different type of services that you guys do. Speak to that a little bit.
Well, right now we do a lot of maintenance, tree trimming, hardscape, rock, gravel. I want to say bricks. That's what is the word I was looking for. Obviously, planting. We are working on getting the knowledge through the irrigation. That does require some licensing, but we are not limited to that because we do have other landscaping companies that we partner with. So if we get hired for a job that has irrigation, we have other really great companies that we are able to utilize and subcontract to and still get the job done. Yeah.
And I know an issue that I dealt with a lot back when, whether I owned a pool company, landscape company, any of the kind of the service companies was I either service this area or service this area, and I had issues with that. What would you say is you guys' service area?
Our service area right now is as far as Red Rock, and we've gone down to the Sahuarita Vale area. So that's kind of been our reach at this point.
Nice.
I'm not saying we're limited to that, but right now that is where we've kind of reached.
Well, that's a pretty wide area.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then, as we were saying, there's. I like to make the joke that everybody and their cousin thinks that they're a landscaper at times. 'Cause I see so many landscape trucks, just trucks with trailers on the back of them and rakes and such. But I can actually just tell from your branding that Revive Grounds has something special that sets it apart from other landscaping companies. Nothing against other landscaping companies, but what would you say sets Revive Grounds apart from other landscape companies?
Actually, one of the things that we really wanted to focus on was being emissions friendly. So we try not to utilize gas tools, and we use battery operated tools, specifically still tools, because of the low emissions aspect to that. We can go into neighborhoods and not be loud, and we are charged and ready to go. And it's been something that's a really cool aspect that not everybody has at this point. And we wanted to kind of set ourselves apart that way too.
Nice. And then just with the name Revive Grounds, like where did this idea come from? And then kind of moving forward, what would you say is the mission of Revive Grounds?
So Revived Grounds actually kind of came from, the company was started with my best friend, my husband, and I, and Yen, who's the owner of Proper Villains. We kind of started this because we wanted this opportunity to be able to be a revived ground, to be able to help people that kind of get overlooked. So the veteran community, the people that are getting out of the system, but they don't have the opportunity to put a foot in the door anywhere because of what their past may reflect. But we're not defined by our past. We're defined by what we do going forward. So we wanted to be able to be a Revived Grounds, offer people an opportunity to start over. Obviously, we're not in a position right now to hire everybody, but we want to be able to have that open mindset and that open door to be able to say, we want to help you to start over and to revive yourself.
That's awesome. And for people who want to utilize your services, how can they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of us by admin or contact at revivegrounds.com.
Okay.
Or the phone number is 520-403-5515.
Awesome. And telephone number one more time.
520-403-5515.
Well, Davina, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for having us on.
That is Davina Fitzpatrick with Revive Grounds Landscaping and Proper Villains. Actually, throw out Proper Villains website real quick just for funsies.
So Proper Villains is properv.com. So Villains is hard to spell, so we shortened it, properv.com. We do all kinds of solutions, business solutions, anywhere from your standard printer tech needs to application website development.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as always, let's thank our sponsors, our favoritist, Proper Villains, For Tucson, We Care Tucson, 100 plus guys who give, White Stallion Ranch, Tucson Tool Shop, Dawn Till Dust Landscaping, Arizona Choice Home Care Solutions, Hope Dealers Global, CB2PGA, and Pep Inc. So remember, if all the sunshine in your life has gone away, it may just be nighttime. We'll be right back.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain of that very Veteran Rescue Mission, and I didn't mention it last segment, but hanging out in the corner, so if you hear him snickering, is Mr. Billy Hill with Tucson Tool Shop. So thank you, Billy, for sitting in, being my guest co-host silently next segment. So, but feel free to throw in some questions this segment for sure.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you
I
here.
wasn't sure, so I was just kind of.
I appreciate you. You are Mr. Etiquette. You're like
Yeah.
I learned how to be proper from you. So thank you.
I wouldn't go that far, but thank you.
So today or now we're going to be interviewing one of my. I'm gonna keep it low key because every time I introduce her, she like, "Oh, you're a little too extra, John. You're a little too extra." So I'm gonna be not extra, I'm gonna be regular. She is an amazing lady, definitely fun to interact with. She runs an amazing organization and has a great background, a veteran wife. Just kind of an awesome story. But thankfully today I don't have to ruin it. You're going to get to hear it from her because today we're going to have a Meet the CEO conversation with Lakeisha Dion, the CEO of For Tucson. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, that was low key. I like that.
Just take it easy. Yeah. So most people like the extra introduction, but I know you like to just take it easy. We don't need to do all the extra stuff.
Yeah,
just meat and
yeah.
potatoes. Just tell me how it is. Okay. So let's go back. Let's go in the way back machine to 30 years ago when you were a young person, a young
Okay.
child, let's say.
Like, wow, yeah. That's a rebellious.
And so where were you born? Where'd you grow up? Bring us back there.
So I was born on Warner Robins Air Force Base
Okay.
in Georgia.
Okay.
And I'm from the Air Force.
Okay. Yeah.
So I grew
Yeah.
up in the Air Force.
How many different places did you live throughout your childhood?
That's hard. 7, and only 2.5, I guess you would say, were stateside. So mostly
Yeah.
overseas. Yeah.
So, man, and as you're saying all this, I'm processing it because I always say to people, I did 18 years in the military even before I joined the military
Yeah.
at 18, and then I did another 8 years. So I guess I did technically 26 years.
Yeah.
So I was trying to calculate, being a military wife, how many years you did in the military on top of the 18 years that you
Wow.
did as a military brat.
Yeah, and I was a true brat.
Yeah.
The full time Alonzo was in, so he has it to like the hour, but 21 years.
So you almost did 40 years in the
Yes.
military.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, yeah, that's why I wanted us to have this conversation today, to really have you think of how
Wow.
profound
Yeah.
life can be, particularly something I talk about regularly. Even though I wear this hat, I'm so proud to have served in the military, so proud to have served in war. The things that I've been through, I'm very proud of myself. It took me a long time to get there, but I'm just as proud of my parents, and getting those
Yeah.
phone calls from me when I was over there, and I'm just as proud for, you know, my wife who had to deal with that stuff at
Yeah.
that time, and my kids who still have to deal with,
Yeah.
you know, the trauma that I face, and you as first a military brat and then a military wife serving 40 years yourself. You know,
Yeah.
thank you for your service.
You know, it didn't seem like it was service, but one thing that being in a military environment, especially overseas, becoming an ambassador
Mm.
to what's true, you
Mhm.
know, to what you believe in, to the American flag.
Mm, mhm.
Your behavior, the way that you interact with our host nationals, really, you're not only representing yourself and your family, but you're representing your country.
Mm.
And that's something that I even take to today. You know, now that we're retired and living in Tucson, just representing my belief system, which is, you know, I believe Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And so I am an ambassador to his kingdom here in Tucson. So
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, that you say that, because it's in speaking to you, and you know, and group conversations that we have, like, you have this uncanny ability to almost simultaneously have this international conversation while encapsulating what is the American pride and all the things
Yeah,
that we are proud of
yeah.
in being Americans.
yeah. I think it's that third culture child that I am. You know, most of my formative years being overseas and not part of that culture or from that culture, and then even the few years that we were in the States, I'm American, but I'm not of that culture. You know, it's almost like we had this, as military children, our own culture that we had to navigate between two different worlds.
Yeah.
And even now as an adult, I experienced that in so many different arenas and so many different areas. I used to hate it.
Yeah.
But now that is something that I embrace
It's your
and love.
superpower, though.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
something that I love. I can literally walk into any environment and find comfort in that environment and be able to navigate it, versus hiding behind you know, one other individual, or become, you know, kind of going into my own little cocoon and not wanting to talk to anyone. I just find my purpose in whatever environment God calls me to walk in. So.
That's cool. So let's continue to walk down kind of the road of, you're a military brat for 18 years. You went to, I believe you met your husband in college, or
Yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
you went to college, and then military wife, continued, you know, raising your children. I'm guessing go into college and kind of continuing that.
So, you know, I had this thing that I did not want to be studying and raising a family. So I saw my parents struggle, dad being in the military, mom working for the federal government, and raising a family and trying to get their 4-year degree. And so I made like a point to Alonzo, I'm not marrying you until I get my bachelor's degree. And at the same time, he made a decision to go into the military without me knowing.
Yeah, it happens like that sometimes.
Without me knowing. But, you know, thank God he did make that decision. So while he was in basic training, I was finishing up my undergrad. And just when he was finishing up tech school, he got his first base. I graduated. We got engaged, moved to Delaware, from Georgia to Delaware, which again is a whole nother culture, and started my master's degree there. So before I even knew I wanted to be a mom, I wasn't seeking out to do that. I was actually told I would never be able to carry a child to full term. So that wasn't even in my mind. And so I'm in my MBA program trying to accomplish a 2-year program in 1 year. And, you know, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? You know? And then I find out I'm pregnant, you know, and continue to push through that because I didn't want to split studying, being a student, working full time, and being a new mom. So, you know, praise God, I only had one class after I gave birth to my oldest.
Mm-hmm.
He actually was there when I graduated. I have a picture of him with my cap and gown
Nice.
on my hip, receiving my master's degree in business.
Yeah,
So-
we have a picture like that now with our baby and my wife getting her
Yes.
doctorate.
Yes,
so
I thought that was so
cool.
precious,
yeah, it was
too.
blessing. So we only have, unfortunately have 30 seconds now to
All right.
wrap it up. So for people that want to know more about Ford Tucson, how can they do that?
You know, it's real simple. Go to FordTucson.com, the number 4Tucson.com. And if you want to know all of the activities that we are involved in, click on that events calendar and you'll see everything that we're in touch with throughout the city.
And a quick soundbite of what is Ford Tucson for people who don't know.
Yeah, so we engage in systemic issues in our city. And so we have so much fun connecting others around systemic issues and facilitating conversations and generating solutions around that.
That's it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Lakeisha.
Thank you. This was fun.
That was fun.
This
yeah.
is different.
yeah, different. That's what I do. Lakeisha Dion, CEO of Ford Tucson. You just got to see inside her soul. This is the Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain here with Mr. Billy Hill from Tucson Tool Shop. We will catch you next time.